Hello everybody, welcome back to another Matplotlib video. This is our last video in this mini-series, and as promised, we're going to talk about how to adjust the appearance of our plots. So everything I present in this video is purely just to show you it's an option that exists. I don't expect you to memorize any of these things. You could spend hours and hours on the internet searching for different ways to make your plots look unique. So really this video is just exposition showing you some options that are out there. So first thing I want to do is I've already copy pasted the code from our previous video. So this is the one where we get these 6 plots of cosine kx for various values of k. And maybe first thing we notice that the numbers here are very squished, right? This 2, 4, 6, and 0 as well is colliding with the other plot. And the way we can fix that is by saying fig.tight_layout. And if we rebuild the plots, notice now there's plenty of space between the x-axis and the next plot. Now you might have noticed that I put this within the for loop. There's really no reason to do this. Once I apply it to the figure, it's applied to the entire figure, right? Not individual plots. So I can actually move this outside of the for loop. I run it and see now nothing's changed, right? So I can move this outside of the for loop. Next thing we might want to do is what if I wanted to know, well, what's the value of k for each of these plots? So adding a legend. And the way that we're going to do that is I go to ax.plot where I have here x, y. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to specify for each one what should the label be. So I'm going to say label equals, and then because k depends on which plot it is, we're going to use an f string. And I'm going to say k equals, and then in curly braces k. So if I run it right now, nothing's going to happen. So notice, same plots. So the way we get these labels to display is I next say x.legend. And I can run this. And I can see now, okay, I've gotten a legend for each one. So here k is equal to 1, then 2, 3, 5, 7, 10. Notice that the location of these is pretty random. So Matplotlib has decided where to place each one. What if I wanted it to look more uniform? The way I could do that is by specifying a location. So just as an example, I could say loc for location is equal to, and then in a string, I want to say, let's say I want it in the upper right corner. And let's see, it's not happy for me. So, oh, do you see what I did wrong? I put this as an argument to the layout instead of the legend. So let me cut this from here, paste it here. And now we can see each legend appears in the top right corner. Again, I don't expect you to just know upper right. I don't expect you to memorize it or even to know what all of the options available are. It's definitely one of those things where you just look up what you want and then you use it. So before recording this video, I already kind of planned out where I wanted things. I looked up what I needed. So just so you know. One thing to notice is these 2 lines are within the for loop, just to show you what would happen if we moved them outside. So I'm going to unindent them and notice, oops, I moved the plot, I moved too many. But notice now what happens is the only legend that gets updated is the very last one. So we do the whole for loop, and only when we exit the for loop do we set the legend, but when we exit the for loop, this is the last one that we've plotted, this k equals 10. So it's the only one that gets updated with the legend. So let's pass this back inside the for loop, and now we can see that all of our plots have these nice legends in the upper right corner. So this is already looking a lot better. What if we wanted to change colors? So lots of color options available. I actually already have a web page open showing you some of the options. So let's move there really quickly. So here's just Matplotlib documentation, and we have here the list of named colors. And if you scroll down a little bit, we have these nice tables showing you all of the options. So for this video, let's import CSS colors. And lots of different options here. We're going to pick them randomly, but you could go in and pick exactly the ones that you want. So let's go back to Matplotlib. And the way I'm going to import these colors is I'm going to say from matplotlib.colors import, and the code for this one is CSS4 underscore, and I've already forgotten. Let's go back and take a look. So CSS4 underscore colors. And I'm going to give it a name so that I don't have to call it this every time. I'm going to say as C colors. As far as I know, there's no standard naming convention for these colors that you import. So you notice here as NP, that's standard, as PLT, that's standard. Not so much for the colors as far as I know. So I'm going to run it. No issues so far. That's looking good. Now, something I want to show you is if I look at C colors, what data type is this? Well, it's a dictionary, right? So the keys are the names, the values are the actual value of the color. So for instance, I could say ccolors.keys, and you can see here I have all of the dictionary keys, and I could do ccolors.values, and it returns all of the values. So this is looking pretty good so far. How would I actually get these colors to display in my plot though? So here's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to say for K, ax, now let's specify comma color. In zip, so we have K list, axes flat. Now what I'm going to do is say C colors dot keys. Now you might have been tempted from our previous videos to think that when we zip K-list and axes flat, they need to have the same dimensions. Here, notice C colors is a lot bigger than either of those, so zip is going to work just fine. It'll take kind of the ones that it needs from this. So then, okay, let's go. We have ax.plot, and we're going to specify here C equals color. So let's run it, and we can see, so I think what's happening is it's picking just the first 6 colors from ccolors.keys. So let's go back and take a look and see what was the first entry. So it's saying the first one is Alice blue, and then we have antique white. So let's see. I suppose that could be Alice blue and antique white. Let's see what's K equals 30. Yeah, aqua. So what it's doing is it's just picking the first 6 colors in the dictionary. Maybe we don't want these colors, so you could go in and specify what colors exactly you want. But something else we could do is I could just have it randomly select the colors for me, and that's kind of fun because we can see the variety of colors that are in this dictionary. So notice, I guess I've deleted it, but what I'm going to do is let's define a random number generator. And I really thought I had left it. Oh, I did leave it. It's right here. Okay, good. So I'm not going to instantiate it again. So notice here I have RNG equals np.random.default_RNG. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select 6 random colors from C colors. So what I'm going to do is RNG.choice. Then what I need to do is pass a list. So I'm going to say list of C colors.keys. So cast the keys to a list. Then what do I want the size to be? Well, I want it to be the length of K-list because that's how many colors I need. So let's do length of K-list. And we can see here it's giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors. I can run it again. Different colors, etc. So maybe let's call this colors. Or maybe instead of doing that, I think what I might want to do is let's copy paste this code as the colors at the end here. So every time that we run this cell now, we're going to get different colors. So here's what I mean. So notice I ran it and here's the colors that we get. Let's try again. We get these different colors. Of course, if you were plotting this for an assignment or the color actually was important to what you wanted to plot, then either you would want to define these colors separately and kind of you want it to stay constant. But all of that to say, I think it's kind of fun for this video to see all the different colors that we can get just to get an idea of what's in CSS for colors. So, okay, we've talked about colors, we've talked about getting random colors. Maybe just to show you more options, you could also try Tableau palette, you could try base colors, and then there's these XKCD colors, but you can see here the warning they produce a large figure, so you don't see the table. But yeah, lots of options. Here's where you could kind of find some. Let's go back. Maybe what do we want to change next? Well, maybe our plot needs a title. So let's see how we can do that. Let's say I wanted to add a title to each of these subplots. So what I could do is I could say x.set and then title equals, and let's just say y equals cosine kx. And then if I run this, what it does is to every single subplot, it adds this title. So that's being done in the for loop. If I wanted it to just set the title for everything, what I would do is I'd come out of the for loop and I'd say fig.soup_title. Let's do y equals cosine kx. So we can see here this sets the title at the very top. Again, I don't expect anyone to memorize all of these different, like basically, how do I actually get the title at the top, all of these things. Like soup title seems a little inconsistent in the naming compared to how we set the title here. But like I said, no need to memorize it, just know that it exists and that you could look up any help that you need. So last thing I want to show in this video is something called plot styling. And what that allows us to do is set a whole bunch of variables all at once. So kind of these presets for kind of getting the background, setting the numbers, all of that stuff, the fonts. So the way we're going to do that is, let me go up here. So we're going to define it at the plot level. So it's going to be outside of all of this code. And I'm going to say plt.style.use. And I know of this one option called Seaborn Dark Grid, so let's use that first. So, okay, keep your eye on the plot. I'm going to run it now. And notice all of the things that it's changed. So we now have this dark background with the white grid marks. The font looks different to me. So it's set a whole bunch of options at once. If you're wondering what other options exist, what we can do is say plt.style.available. And we can see here, this gives us a list of all the different options. So maybe, for instance, I want to try Seaborn Poster. So I can come back up here and say Seaborn Poster. And then let's keep our eye on the output again and see how it changes. So a little bit different than the previous one that we tried. So I think that's all I want to say in this video. Just wanted to show you a bunch of different styling options, how you can make your plots look a little bit nicer and more modern. Again, there's so many options you can find on the internet, so this was just a small sampling of them. Otherwise, this is a good place to end the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.